Hey BookTube, it's Jackie. How's it going? If you're new to me and this is the first time you're seeing my face, welcome to my home. I sit on my floor and I talk about books. So I hope that's why you're here, because that's what's going to be happening today. If you are not new to me, thank you for always tuning in, the continued support. I really appreciate it. Today for you, I have my weekly wrap up. This is from May 1st to May 7th and all my reading shenanigans in between. And I have got a shit ton of stuff to talk about today. So grab yourself a drink, have yourself a seat, and let's get started. So, if you were following me from my previous week, I was 65% way through The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, and I'm happy to say on Wednesday this week, I completely finished this book, and I really wish Goodreads offered half scores, because this book was not a 4-star for me, but it was not a 3-star. It was more like a 3.75. I really enjoyed my reading experience with this book, and I did listen to it on Audible, so my reading experience from my last Audible classic exponentially higher. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I did have some personal issues with this book and some gripes with it, but when I was trying to figure out how to talk about this book, I feel like this book really deserves a full review to flesh it all out, because I do feel strongly about some of the themes that are portrayed in this book, and I have some stuff to say about it. So I think a review will be coming up in the future of this book, and I'm going to start working on that sometime this week, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But long story short, this follows our two lead characters of Gilbert Markham and Helen Graham, or Helen Huntington, depending on which point of view you're talking about, and that will be explained here in a second. Gilbert Markham is introducing the story and kind of telling the readers how this story is progressing. He has encountered Helen Graham. They don't hit it off very well, and then over time they start to develop feelings more on his side than hers. He confronts her about them, tells her feelings, and she just can't reciprocate. But she wants to. So she gives him a book that explains, a book that is her journal actually, that explains her past life as Helen Huntington with her husband, who she is still legally married to, and all of the drama that ensued with that. She was verbally assaulted, she was gaslighted, all by a man who completely falsified who he was prior to them getting married. He was this suave, debonair, dashing, handsome knight in shining armor, and turns out he was a pathetic excuse for a man who would believe that he was better than everybody and an alcoholic, and made his wife feel like she was nothing. And she was smart, she was smart, she was beautiful, and he completely disabled her in every way, shape, and form. There's no talk of physical assault, but it is implied that she never felt safe really around him during their marriage. And this journal is explaining everything she went through, trying to get away, her success at getting away. And after Gilbert reads this, he is falling even more in love with her about it. But he understands why she can't reciprocate it. But then she goes back to her husband after she's gotten away. She goes back, and that's where I kind of started to lose it a little bit with this book, and I just wasn't comfortable. So that's why I feel like a full review will help me process this just a little bit more. So do keep your eye out for that one. So I will be doing a full review on this, but this is done, and I did enjoy it, and I can check it off my classics list. Yay. So after I picked that up, I went back in and started working on A Little Life of Hanagatahara. I was only like 10 pages into this last week, and now I'm only 100. So this book, I'm just not vibing with this book right now. It's just, when I'm reading it, I do enjoy it, but it's not to the point where I can't put it down. I can put this down and walk away and have zero problem with it, because this book is not like other books. We're still in the world building stage, because at 100 pages in a 720 page book, there's still a lot of story left. But we're still building this world, but it's not world building as in fantasy world building or romance building. It is building the mental state of these 4 characters. And I haven't had enough experience with these 4 characters to actually formulate any opinions. But already in 100 pages, I have seen self-harm. I have seen struggles with sexuality. So very serious topics are being brought to the forefront with this book. And I feel like this book is going to be one of those that I just have to take in doses and read slowly throughout the month. So I feel like that's how I'm going to proceed with this book until it reaches that point where I'm like, I'm in, I'm hooked, I can't put it down. But I don't want to DNF it, even though I'm not vibing with it right now, because I feel like this is going to be one of those books that is going to make me really think, latch on, and never let go, but it just hasn't latched yet. It's not there yet. So we're still making our way through it. Now, when I finished A Tenant of Wildfell Hall, that was on Wednesday, and Thursday morning, the Mafia romance readathon began, and holy shit. Oh my God. Let's just break this down. Let's do this. So, Thursday I began my first read for the Mafia romance readathon, and that was the Bratva Baby by Jane Henry. And here's the cover for you so you guys can take a look. I listened to this on Audible, which was the best way to read this book because the narrator was on point. He had this deep, guttural voice with this Russian accent, and it was just perfect. It was so good. It was so good. The Bratva Baby follows Casimir and Sadie. Casimir is the brigadier general of the Bratva Mafia, and he has to kidnap Sadie, marry her, take her inheritance, and then basically get rid of her. Something he has no problem doing because he's fucking Casimir. But it is a romance novel. It is a dark mafia romance novel, and we all know what happens with romance novels. So, the themes of this book that are portrayed are very dark. This is a BDSM romance novel, so if you are not keen on the aspects of BDSM, sadism, masochism, bondage, all of those ideas and themes, this is probably not a romance that you want to pick up, but I'm all okay with those, and I fucking love this book. Loved this. I gave it a 4-star because that ending just wasn't, it just wrapped up way too easy for me, so that's why I got a 4-star, but, oh, I loved this so much. It made me so happy. I flew through this. I could not stop listening to it, and the voice just, fucking love this book. It was so fucking good. Oh my God, I was so excited about this. Yes, there is a lot of sex in this book. There is a lot. Like, every chapter is some kind of sexual act, but I still enjoyed the storyline to it. There was enough plot that I didn't feel like it was just sex that I was reading. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I liked it a lot. I liked it so much that as soon as I finished it, I picked up the sequel, which is the Bratva Bride, which I'm currently still listening to. I'm about halfway through it, and it's just as good. Now, the first one follows Casimir and Sadie. The Bratva Bride follows Damien and Kalina, also known as Larissa. But we're going to find out why. There is a twist in this one, and I'm really anxious to find out when the twist happens, how it's going to happen. I'm really, really pumped about it. And again, it's the same narrator, same deep, guttural voice with this Russian. Oh, it's fucking perfect with the narrator. Oh, it's so good. Jane Henry. This story by Jane Henry is fantastic. I love this. I am enjoying my Audible experiences so much. I very much highly recommend these. Bratva Bride is another BDSM dark mafia romance with heavy tones on the sadism. And this one more on just the bondage, more on the sadism. So you have been warned with the triggers, but if you're okay with that, oh my God, these are stunning. These are stunning. I mean, Bratva Baby and then the Bratva Bride cover. I mean, these men are gorgeous. So, yay. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. Thoroughly enjoyed myself with my Audible experience during the Mafia Romance Readathon. But I'm not just listening to Audible books. I also read 2 other Mafia Romance books, so let's get talking about those. So I did read J.T. Geisinger's Ruthless Creatures, and I fucking love this too. Oh my God, this one was great. This is another Bratva Mafia, so another Russian Mafia, and this follows Cage, and I think it's Nat. Yes, it's Nat. It's short for Natalie, and she was supposed to get married and her husband disappeared, and so she hasn't really been able to get over that because she doesn't know if he's dead, if he's alive, what happened to him. And Then we get introduced to Cage, which is also short for Casimir. So Casimir's a very common theme with this Mafia romance for me this year, this go around. And he's just stunning. Like, he's great. He's fantastic. I love him. And he is not above pulling any punches. Like, he says it like it is, how it is, and that's that. And I fucking love that. And Natalie is a spitfire. She is funny. She doesn't take crap, and I really like that. I like the heroines that don't really take any shit. Now, in the Bratva's Baby and the Bratva Bride, the heroines are they're a lot more subservient than Nat and the other girl that I read about, which we'll get to in a second. So I liked having that opposite and that comparison, but I love this. This was fantastic. I put the rest of the series in my cart, and I'm planning on buying them very, very soon because these were fantastic. Oh my god, I love it. There's BDSM tones in this, very graphic sexual content. Very, very graphic. If you don't like the C word, don't read this book. But if you have no problem with that word, read it because it gets used. And the sex scenes in this are just as good. Oh my god, they're so good. So good. I read this book in I read this book in a day. I read this book literally all Thursday night into Thursday morning because I started this Thursday evening after I got off of work, and I freaking loved it. It was so good. And I love the cover. I love him. He's so pretty. He's so pretty. I don't know who that model is, but he's beautiful. So yes, I gave this a 4-star. Again, the ending just kind of wrapped it up way too easily for me, but I feel like that's kind of a common theme so far with the romance books I've read. They tend to, the really graphic ones, they have to wrap it up quickly, so the plot line has to wrap up, but the sex scenes don't. But yeah, the sex scenes are great. Fantastic. And the last book I completed this week was Sophie Lark's Brutal Prince. This is the first installment in I don't exactly know what this series is called. I can't remember what this series is called. It's right here. Let me get it. Brutal Birthright. This is the first installment of the Brutal Birthright series, and this was awesome. I laughed at this book. I loved this book, and I was turned on by this book. So I was turned on by all of these romance novels, but I wasn't laughing at any of the other ones. I was laughing at this one because Callum and I think it's Aida. It's Aida. So I've heard that pronounced Ada and Aida. So I'm not quite for sure exactly how you're supposed to pronounce it. But they were hilarious. Like, they are so petty to each other. It was fantastic. This is an enemies to lovers romance with an arranged marriage. Mafia, Italian and Irish. Callum is Irish. Aida is Italian. And they just hate each other. But the things they do to each other are fucking hilarious. I think they are. I just love it. You have got to read this one. This is fantastic. One of my favorite moments of this book was actually the wedding scene. Callum is very allergic to strawberries, so Aida has been eating strawberries all day, and when he kisses her, she goes in for this little peck after literally they're bickering at the altar saying, well, fuck you. I don't want to fucking be here. And the priest's like, have you guys come here of your own free volition? Yes. And they're like, their faces say no, their body language says no, they're literally telling each other to fuck off at the altar. And she goes in for the kiss, and she thinks it's gonna be this little chaste, easy kiss, and he just lays one on her. And he's highly allergic to strawberries, so he passes out. She almost kills the guy, because she thinks it's just like a hive sort of situation. She doesn't realize, like, it's life-threatening. And then when he comes home, she's at the pool, and he's like, you need to come here. And she feels like that they're even because other things have happened prior to that, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but he says, come here, and he pulls her into the pool. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be one of those funny romantic moments. No, he pulls her to the bottom and holds her so she almost passes out and says, how do you like having your breath cut off? And it was just, you people are so petty. Oh my God. And then the clothing scene when he takes all of her clothes. They're petty, but because they're gangsters, it's like life-threatening. So I feel really bad laughing at this, but it was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I read this one in one sitting and I loved it. So this one definitely was I gave this one a 5-star, actually. I gave this a 5-star. And on further retrospection, I might be giving my other romance ones 5 stars, but the ending is just, they wrapped them up way too easily for me. But that's what I've been reading this week. I'm thoroughly enjoying my read, especially the later half of the week. I loved Ruthless Creatures, loved Bratva's Baby, loving Bratva's Bride right now. I plan on finishing that on Sunday, and I'm still plugging my way through this. And Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, I'm planning on doing a full book review on, just to flesh out some of my feelings on it, emotions. But yeah, I've had a great reading week. So let me know what you guys have been up to, and I will see you guys all soon with another video. Bye.